Next up on the Great British Car Share, and the cars that you've all been searching for, some of the most popular classic cars in the UK, was meant to be an E-Type Jaguar. As it turns out, Sarah Crabtree...
It's not an E-Type Jaguar.
No, it's a Triumph Stag, a car which actually, for me, represents the 1970s in Britain quite nicely.
Yeah, it does.
World oil crisis, all sorts of world events, disruption in politics all over the globe.
Yeah.
And yet, the British man and woman would be sauntering through the British countryside with their T-bar on the roof down with a lightly, gently singing V8 soundtrack, driving one of these like nothing was wrong with the world.
No care in the world. Everything was good.
It's a no care in the world type car,
no
isn't
care
it?
in the world, yeah.
But
yeah.
it's fair to say, and cards on the table, I've never even been in one, let alone driven one, and Sarah, you're the same. It's fair to say that we don't like this car.
Yeah, I've been in one. I know a lot of people that own Stags. I've never driven one, and I've never hankered after one.
No.
And maybe that may change.
We're coming into this open-minded because we were planning an
too.
E-Type. I got that wrong. We ended up with a Stag. Sarah just about stayed friends with me enough to do this video, so let's hope it goes well, because I'm hoping that with a British V8 soundtrack, because everything's better with a British V8 soundtrack, even the 1970s, that could all change and we'll be friends after this.
Let's see.
So last time you left us here in the Great British Car Share, I was struggling with the Austin Maxi seatbelt. Not that that mattered too much, because we were going nowhere very fast in the Austin Maxi, because the boss here, she broke it. So today, we're back in the 1970s.
I can't get that seatbelt on.
You're struggling with your seatbelt?
I can't do it. Do you want to have a go with it? Just to see if it's just me being a little bit dim. But it's a seatbelt, I think generally.
I can't get mine out now.
Good start, eh? Good start to the throwback to the 70s.
But I'm totally going to mansplain and get yours sorted out.
You are, aren't you?
It's very 70s, this.
I think.
It's okay, darling. I'll fix your seatbelt for you, because it's 1974.
Roger, I just can't seem to do it. Could you help me, darling?
I think it's your inertia reel.
I think my inertia's broken.
I think your inertia reel is broken, Fanny.
Oh, darling, Roger, what are we going to do?
Why am I called Roger?
Because Roger's a very stag-like name, isn't it?
Is it? Was Fanny a good choice?
Why Fanny?
1970s, isn't it?
Fanny Craddock.
Yeah.
I am quite a good cook.
Fanny Crabtree.
Fanny Crabtree. Oh, I might change it by Deadpool. Roger, darling, have you fixed it yet?
No, not yet.
It's
Fanny.
not working, is it?
No.
It's had it.
Yeah.
Shall we, you're just going to have to drive.
I tell you what we'll do is,
particularly so.
we'll waft. If we waft,
We'll just,
we'll be fine.
We'll be fine, yeah.
Welcome to the 1970s.
I trust you driving.
It's not a good start, given that I'm trying to persuade crabbers that picking the Stag over the E-Type was a good idea.
Well, it's not a good start, is it really? But do you know what?
Are we back to crabbers and pool now?
I reckon this is probably comfier than an E-Type. I don't think we could have got on camera us trying to get in and out of an E-Type. Well, maybe you, but definitely not me. It's too slow.
Hang on, we've got 15 keys, keep talking.
Use the one that looks like it might be.
How many times has this happened in your life, in your classic car life though? Because they get so many keys cut that someone gives you a fob with tons of keys on. And then you're like, oh thanks, and you walk off and you sit in the drive and you know they're watching you. And
I still do it now.
God.
I've got like 5 keys for the hotel. And I still go and open it with the wrong one. Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Stag isn't a car that I've ever liked, I've never understood, but that almost gets us off on a different foot.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does sound nice. It's not all about the sound though, is it?
It's not all about the sound, but I believe this car was more about the experience and the theatre. Imagine driving through a British country lane in 1974 in this. That's drive, we're going backwards, aren't we? That's backwards.
Yeah.
I can't help when I'm in this car but talk like I'm actually in 1974.
Well, I think we could be.
We could.
To be honest. You're dressed like you're in 1974.
Oh, I thought that was the plan. Dressed for the car you're going to drive on the Great British Car Show, you said. I spent ages ironing shirts last night. No?
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm all right. I'm past it.
I have nothing in my wardrobe.
Listen at
from
it.
the
Listen at
70s.
that.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Actually,
Yeah, it's nice.
so first impressions, I'm a fan. What fascinates me about British Leyland cars of this era is that it wasn't cool to be a British Leyland car of this era. British Leyland was a bit of a joke in most of the boardrooms
Yeah, it was.
and in most of the showrooms. You'd
Yeah.
have cars that would
And
be
still
all trimmed
is.
up on one side in
And
the
still
dealership.
is.
On the other side, they'd be missing trim.
Yes.
So it wasn't a very good time to be buying British Leyland car. But there's so many British Leyland badges, even on the pedals.
On the pedals, yeah.
British Leyland, because they
Yeah.
were so proud.
They were.
Guys, everything's going wrong. We're losing money. Everything's going wrong. What do we do? Stick the logo on everything.
On
Make Britain proud. Do you not think this car?
That's definitely what
This
they
car
do.
is the stiff British upper lip
Yeah.
of the classic car world. I mean, if we were in 1974, I think I'd prefer you with a headscarf.
Oh, I could have brought a headscarf. I could have done. Where are we going?
I don't know.
I think you've gone the wrong way.
Yeah, but that's fine because it's very
And
versatile.
another thing about the Stag, the colour palette for the Stags.
Yes, yeah.
Just fabulous.
Yeah.
From that orange.
We've gone back to it really, haven't we?
Was it topaz orange? Sienna brown?
Yes.
Is this inky yellow?
Listen to that.
That sounds good. But that lovely colour palette.
Yeah.
Colour choices for Stags, just brilliant. Typical of the 70s.
Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah.
Don't look, there's trucks.
Sarah. Oh, truck.
I know, there's lots of big trucks.
You've changed. You used to get really triggered by trucks.
I do still get triggered by
Do you?
trucks, yeah. I get more triggered by
Could you show
each
it?
time.
I do like the way that sounds, you know?
It does sound lovely. So you've never driven one of these.
No.
How is it for handling?
I didn't get in this car expecting anything more than we're getting, if I'm honest. So I think that's fair. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we're classic car enthusiasts, so I'm not jumping in these cars and expecting miracles. I'm kind of trying to expect what I think I'll get.
Yeah.
And the Stag so far does that. I mean, we're not on the open road, that's fair to say, because the layout here at the Great British Car Journey allows us to have these little adventures in our own safe little environment, which is good. But
it's a 50-year-old car.
I can imagine this on the open road, and I can imagine you sort of sauntering and wafting along with that British V8 soundtrack and the birds singing and the trees in bloom, and then all of a sudden you come to a sharp corner that you weren't expecting. You're like, oh my god, what do we do now? And it's like, oh my god, what do we do? And that's what you do. Yeah?
You nearly lost your phone.
Wouldn't have said that in
probably.
1974, would
No,
you?
you wouldn't have done. No.
So I think that is what would have happened. Do you know what? Actually, it's quite planted. Having said that, I was expecting to be like rolling all over the place.
All over the place in that. Yeah. I'm glad we weren't, since I don't have a seatbelt on.
No, that's true. I just find with British Leyland cars, and this is something we love about them now, by the way. So this isn't a criticism. We like this about British Leyland cars, but the designers weren't really talking to the people who were selling the cars. The people who were selling the cars weren't really talking to the people who were buying the cars. The people in the boardroom weren't signing off the checks that they needed in order to build the cars properly.
Communication throughout BL.
Yeah.
Probably its biggest downfall.
And there's nothing that says that more than, you know, sometimes you have a car dashboard and it's angled towards the driver. Japanese cars are very good at that. This is angled away from the driver, and it's not even angled at the passenger, it's angled towards there. Like, you're looking at the dash, and
it kind of is, isn't it?
you sort of offset to the dash, so the dash is angled that way. It's, I suppose, actually, in the 1970s.
You'd have been hanging out the window.
There you got
really
it. See,
cool.
that's not how do you wind the window down,
with your
Crabbers? Electric windows.
Collar
Did they have those
flapping in the wind. They obviously don't work.
No? Okay. Let's pretend that they do. I'd be like this, wouldn't I? So actually, if I was like this in the 1970s, wafting away. Do you know what? Actually,
perfect.
That's why the dash is angled like this, so that when you're
cruising
and posing and impressing your
bow.
Is that a word?
Yeah.
try this.
I think the thing I struggle with, and that's only from personal taste, is I'm not a huge fan of convertibles.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I've always struggled with the Stag and kind of overlooked it, because it's a convertible and I'm just not a huge fan. But I am seeing it in a different light. I have to put my personal taste to the side and go, is this a good car? Is it a nice car? What's good about it?
I have a question.
Yeah.
This T-bar I love, by the way. You know I love T-bars.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter whether it's a Rover Tomcat or a Pontiac Fiero or a Triumph Stag. But why is there a zip on it? I mean, what happens if you unzip the T-bar? And can you unzip the T-bar? Where does it start? Where does it end?
Oh, I've never even noticed that.
It's like one of life's big questions, isn't it?
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Where does the zip start and end on a Triumph Stag T-bar?
I don't know. Maybe any Stag owners out there could comment below as to. Oh, you stuck?
Yeah. So even if I knew how to unzip the T-bar, I'd struggle.
I mean, surely it was.
A zip that never ends.
Well, it's only on one side. It only goes there. It's not one on this side.
Hey, this is going to bug me now. And we're going to spend far too long on this, but I feel it deserves it. Where is the zip?
Who knows?
Hang on. There must be a zip.
Small things amuse small minds, don't they?
The zip sort of goes down the end.
Sorry, you were saying?
The zip sort of goes down the end here, look.
Yeah.
There's actually there's no end to this zip.
She does sound lovely.
That does things to me.
She does
that does
sound
things to me.
nice.
Before we go, Richard has once again left us.
Have we got one of his favourite?
Yes. So we've got our Great British Car Share fact.
Can I read this one?
Yes.
He absolutely loves pizza. No, sorry, I read that wrong. He absolutely loves the pizza-shaped set of warning lights.
Do you know what? That's one of the things I dislike.
Always worry about that troublesome V8.
I thought British V8s were anything but troublesome.
You know what? The bods at Triumph had big hopes for their new Grand Tourer. They wanted it to have a V8 and grow up to be as successful and as loved as the E-Type Jaguar and Aston Martin DB5. Instead of adopting the Rover V8, however, Triumph was confident its engineers could build something better by bolting two of its inline four-cylinders together. So far, so good.
Better than a Rover V8? Really? Anyway, with BL's takeover of Triumph in 1967 came BL's famous economics, all at a pretty crucial time in the development of the Stag. In place of electronic fuel injection, a last-minute rushed capacity increase from 2.5 litres to 3 litres was achieved by widening the bores, resulting in more power but less torque and even less cooling capacity, and that was just the start of the problems.
It's like the Wheel of Fortune, although in a British Leyland car it's not, is it? It's the Wheel of Misfortune.
The Wheel of Misfortune, keeping a steady eye on it all the time.
Spinning round, spinning round, spinning round.
Where's it going to stop?
It's on the ignition light. That's not so bad. That's probably only 2 days in the garage. Good. If you had a pizza-style warning light on your dashboard in your Triumph Stag, you probably had fussy doilies in your living room, didn't you? And little elephant models that didn't really like elephants, and they had little holes in the bottom. I've never really understood why they had little holes in the bottom of those little.
What are you talking about? Have you dreamed this up? Was that a real thing?
It's a childhood memory. It's painful for me. Well, I wasn't here in the 70s.
I was going to say, you weren't even there.
But these elephants are definitely from the 70s. They're on people's sideboards, and they're like porcelain, but they don't really look like elephants. I know I'm really struggling to get this across to you, but it's important to me.
Are you okay, Paul?
Yeah, let's go. You do know what I mean.
The bonnet actually looks quite imposing from this view, isn't it?
It's trying to be a Jag.
It's a Jag.
It's sort of the step between an MG and a Jag, isn't it? And it didn't really.
It doesn't know what it is, does it? Really?
No. I imagine execs driving these rather than our aforementioned romantic couple driving through the countryside, because that didn't really happen, not in the real world. Doesn't happen now, let alone in the real world back then in the 70s. I reckon you had your execs turning up to meetings in a Stag thinking that it elevated them from the Triumph 2000 they've been driving in the first quarter.
You don't even need to accelerate just to hear that little gurgle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
that little gurgle.
A little
you say,
gurgle. It's like little
Yeah, it is.
bubbling along, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds so good. You see, I would have always gone base spec. I'm a base spec girl.
This is not a base spec car though.
This isn't a base spec.
This is a car that people bought and spec'd up.
Yeah.
And then when it got to the dealership, because of the problems, well-documented problems with British Leyland by this point, half the things you spec wouldn't be on the car. Actually, not a lot has changed in 2023 when it comes to customer service and the motor industry logistics, has it? But you would have your options list in your pocket if you went somewhere with your Stag, so you could tell someone. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you would do. Yeah. Mine's got this, 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 and this. What's yours got? Well, mine's got a zip on the T-bar. What's yours?
Speed dating in the 1970s, if you had a Stag, must have been so easy.
Oh, it would have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I like it.
I do. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna change what I said there. From sitting inside it, from a driver's point of view.
Sorry, that was very 1970s man, wasn't
I was
it?
gonna say, have you just put it in park?
But it's the 1970s, and that's what I'd do if I was married in the 1970s. I wouldn't trust you to put it in park, would I?
So sitting here, driving it, I like it.
Mm.
For me,
It's when you get out.
when I get out, aesthetically, it's not the car for me.
These styling cues worked really well on Triumph's saloon cars. They really did. I mean, the Triumph 2000 is one of the best looking classic saloon cars.
It really is. It really is.
It just didn't work so well when they tried to make it work with a sports car.
But this fulfilled for a lot of people, didn't it? It was a reachable, convertible, a bit more upmarket. It was like, oof, yeah. What we've got to realise is, me and you are in the minority.
Yeah, yeah. So we are here
Let's face facts.
at the Great British Car
We're
Journey,
wrong.
admitting
We
are wrong. I was wrong on the Capri as well, so it's not going well for me so far in this series. So the Triumph Stag is one of the most searched for classic cars in the UK, and having driven one, I almost understand why, and Sarah wholeheartedly understands why. It still troubles me.